This is Tony. I'm from Cover. I'm sitting at the Cover Innovators Network in Melrose Arch. We've just completed. I'm sitting with Imtiaz Abdul Kader, the Head of Business Enablement at Absa and also the CEO there. Imtiaz, first of all, thank you very much for your time today and a fascinating presentation that you gave us, lots of food for thought. And then thank you for taking more time to have a quick catch up with me.
No, it's been a pleasure. And I think the topic is quite relevant at this point in time. I mean, everybody's on the hype of AI. So it's better we create a platform of understanding, because then it's better for organizations to create value.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of questions came out today with implementation, strategy, business enablement, all of those sort of things. How do you derive value? There's a whole lot of stuff. And maybe to kick off with the question for you is sort of, what is the biggest mistake that you see people make and that you've read from case studies and so on when they look at implementing an AI strategy?
Now, that's such an awesome question. I don't know if you've seen the memes out there in social media which says, where do you want AI? Everywhere. Who wants it? We all want it, and then the CEOs start chanting. But when you ask them, why do you want it? And no, they can't answer you, right? So the whole strategy is about the why. All right. Why exactly do you want to adopt this technology? So the biggest mistake for us is not understanding the why, right? We spray it everywhere and we hope that we get value out of it. And hope is not a strategy, right? So your strategy has to be clearly defined in terms of, where do you want it? Why do you want it? What's your return on investment? And you also need to be practical and realistic. These are greenfield environments that we're speaking about. Do not assume anything. A lot of times we like to say we know how to use things, but do we truly know? So another mistake is, if you don't know, partner. The partnership model does not take away anything from you. Partner with the fintechs, partner with the guys that are going through the bleeding edge capabilities, that understand these technologies even before you figure it out. And that's going to help you to go a long way. But key element is, start with a clearly defined strategy and base it on the why. Why exactly do you want to adopt this? If you don't start there, you're losing the plot. Yeah. And another one is data. Data is liquid gold. It's the new oil, as they say, right? Make sure that in order for you to adopt the technology is enabled as well. Whatever you put into the technology is what you get out. The whole concept of garbage in, garbage out applies even to AI.
Yeah, when you ask the health professionals, they always say you are what you eat. And I suppose AI is the same, it is what you feed it, Yeah, no, there we go. And when we then take that next step and we look at the value and the why, where do you see the biggest value for banks and insurers at the moment in terms of implementing AI with what we've got now, which is all sort of the beginning of the big AI development?
Yeah, it's interesting. We had some of the conversations earlier on in our table around it. And the first premise of most individual is to solve for the customer, right? To say, how do we solve for the customer so we create a better customer experience? Nothing wrong with that. But have you solved for your colleague first? Have you solved for the organization? Because culture begets culture. If you have agents that are facing up to customers, right, that have the same knowledge that the customers have, it's easier to interact. It's easier to engage. It creates a more seamless engagement. So it's not just about solving for the customer, it's also solving for your colleague, right? So things like knowledge portals, which I think Microsoft punts quite a bit in terms of saying, using the Copilot agent, how you can create knowledge agents for your colleagues so that they have readily available knowledge at their fingertips. Now, what does that do for your customer experience without even implementing AI for customer experience? Customer walks in, asks the questions to your agent, even if he doesn't know, quickly on the side of his desk types a prompt and says, give me a little bit of this information. Immediately he can respond to the customer. Beautiful experience, right? Once you solve for internally, once you solve for the colleague, then you start solving for customers, solving for them. But the biggest areas that we see where there's benefit, fraud fraud prevention, particularly in the insurance industry, finance industry. Fraud is a big thing for us, right? Especially with AI coming up with deep fakes. Can we identify? I mean, we've got OCR technology, but is it a true ID document? So deep fakes is another area. So fraud is a big thing. The other thing that they're looking at is servicing. So how do we service our customers better? The beauty part about some of these conversational AI agents that are coming out now is it's 24/7, 365 available, does not sleep, does not eat, does not give you attitude, and doesn't tell you to wait for the next agent. Those are beautiful concepts, right? But that's going to create a different customer experience. And a customer experience is what we're also targeting at the end of the day. So colleague experience begets customer experience, and together the two will make a successful organization.
Brilliant. So basically what you're saying, you still need to think of those old business principles of servicing the customer properly, providing the customer experience, and then make sure that you filter that into your strategy when you implement. And here's the million-dollar question that most CEOs will be asking their CTOs and their CIOs and their COOs is, what quick wins do we have when it comes to AI implementation in insurance?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's quick wins, but there's wins, because you got to start with culture first. One of the areas where we normally start with culture is the whole thing around, these LLMs, ChatGPTs, Perplexities, Groks. People are exposed to it in their own personal lives, right? So what I would suggest is that you bring it into the organization. So Copilot, Gemini, depending on the systems that you choose, whichever one it is, right? By using these tools on a day-to-day basis, immediately gives you productivity gains. What that does do is then affords your colleagues, affords your employees opportunities to do complex tasks. They do not have to worry about the menial tasks anymore, which also creates a bit of motivation in the system, right? That's a very quick win. I mean, the licenses are cheap. You can adopt it literally tomorrow, right? The other thing is that when you start looking at these technologies, my view is that look for a partner, right? That's also a quick win. And the reason being is that if you pick the right partner, they will build and scale with you, right? And start small, but start small with the view of scaling. So pick a use case that's going to test this platform. Once you get that in, scale fast. The whole concept about let's go big bang, we can't go big bang with this technology because there's a lot of scary things that happen out there. So ethics, responsibility, all of those nice things come into play. But if you're looking for quick wins, start with the productivity gains first. Once you got the productivity gains in place, once you got the culture in place, it's easier then to go bigger. If you do not have the base set, it's very difficult for you to start building on an infrastructure that does not have a proper base. Similar to a house, right? We don't start with the roof first. We start with the foundation. So start with the foundation.
Brilliant advice. And maybe taking your Absa and your COO and business enablement head, take that hat off and speak as Imtiaz. What excites you most about AI?
Yeah, so I'm a bit eccentric because I'm an academic also. So I love to see where this technology actually takes the human society, right? Now, we can either use it for good or we can use it for evil, right? Hopefully, humanity is going to use it for good, right? There are technologies out there where users integrate quantum computing with AI, which can literally solve for cures for cancer. That's a beautiful thing. And that's where technology needs to play. So I am excited about where this technology takes us, but I'm also scared at the same time of where this technology takes us. It's a paradox. It's a play again on words, So as human society, I think if we embrace it ethically, it can lead to phenomenal things. And it's all about augmenting humans, augmenting human intelligence. Yes, the concept of AGI and ASI all will come through in terms of general intelligence and super intelligence, but it's the same point in time. There are certain things that these elements cannot do, right? The one area is humans are the only beings in the planet that's self-aware. When it does get scary is when the artificial intelligence being is self-aware. And instead of protecting humans, It wants to protect itself. But that's way, way, way. It'll probably never happen in our lifetimes. So for now, make sure that you're excited about using the technology, but for good. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Imtiaz. It was really nice having you here. Thank you again for your contribution and your time. And yeah, sharing knowledge to improve the industry as a whole. So thank you very much. And that's the purpose of this session that we had today.
Oh, thank
you. Yeah. Brilliant.